Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for iFive for the iPhone is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of iFive for the iPhone is brought to you by Shutterstock.com. With over 40 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 20% off image subscription packages on new accounts, go to Shutterstock.com and use the offer code iFive914. Hello everybody, this is iFive for the iPhone, episode 109, which, if all goes well with my order from last week, will be the final show starring my trusty little iPhone 5S, because I'm getting the 6 Plus on Friday. Now, of course, I've only had this particular iPhone for like 2.5 months, but we don't have to talk about broken screens and lost iPhones today. You guys already know all that stuff. No, it's onward and upward here on iFive. By the way, this is the show where we cover iPhone apps and tips and tricks, and of course news. I'm Sarah Lane, and I'm ready to go. Number 1. So last Friday at midnight Pacific time, pre-orders went live for the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. As usual, there were site glitches. You got some angry people and complaints of people not being able to access apple.com. And that always upsets people when they stay up all night to order a really expensive gadget or get up earlier. I guess if you're in Europe, it's kind of right in the middle of the day. Anyway, technical hiccups aside, it was a pretty big 24 hours for Apple. In fact, the company announced on Monday that it sold a record number of first-day pre-orders of both phone models, with over 4 million in the first 24 hours. Now, they didn't break out how many went to each model, but that's cumulative. Not surprisingly, the demand for the new iPhones exceeded the initial pre-order supply, and many iPhone pre-orders aren't going to be actually delivered until October. Of course, additional supplies of iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Pluses will be available to walk-in customers on Friday, September 19th, starting at 8 a.m. local time in Apple retail stores, and at AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, Verizon Wireless stores, some additional carriers, and select Apple-authorized resellers. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show that I went with an iPhone 6 Plus, gold, 64 gig, the big gun. Second to the biggest gun, because 128 gigs just seems like more than I need. I practice restraint when I have to, or when Leo's paying. Anyway, in last week's show, I described how I felt kind of pressured to go with a 6 Plus, even though I think it's probably too big for me to use comfortably because it has a superior camera, it has landscape mode for apps, and it has better battery life. And sure enough, that is what I did, so we are officially in uncharted territory, guys. And we'll see. Number 2. One of the highly anticipated features of the new iPhones is support for NFC. That stands for Near Field Communication. NFC is a protocol for pairing devices together, or sharing files, or launching apps, mobile payments, even automating your house, especially, in the future. Now, Apple previously used Bluetooth as its communication protocol for iBeacons and other location services, but NFC gives developers more options to really kind of turn things up in their own apps. Except that Apple isn't going to let anybody do that, not just yet anyway. Cult of Mac reports that a source inside Apple says the NFC chip on the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus can only be used for Apple Pay when it launches this week and will be closed off to developers. But probably not forever. At last week's iPhone event, you might recall that during the Apple Watch introduction, we saw an unlocking of a hotel room with NFC. So that seems like some sort of a third-party access. Cult of Mac points out some partners are probably getting NFC access for proof of concept, kind of wow factor stuff, before it gets rolled out to everybody else. Apple Pay doesn't go live until October, so even if you get a 6 or a 6 Plus on Friday, you're not going to be swiping your iPhone at the grocery store to pay your bill. Not just yet, anyway. I have to say, though, I really can't wait. NFC is a very underutilized tool for all of us iOS folks, and the list of participating banks and merchants is pretty impressive out of the gate. Number 3. Okay, so let's say that you haven't ordered an iPhone 6 or a 6 Plus yet, and maybe you're actually super sick of me talking about it, but let's get a handle on what might be the better size for you, because none of us can touch these in an Apple store right now. We got a great tip from Gordon over in the UK. That seems maybe a little bit silly, but actually really helps. Gordon writes, "This helped me decide which phone I wanted without having to wait to actually see them. A site that lets you print off accurate sized phones and see how big they actually are." Now, Gordon pointed us to one specific website. We will add that to our show notes at twit.tv/iFive. There are a ton of others, though. This is actually a pretty popular tip. It really does help, though. We got a 4.7 and a 5.5. Now, 5.5, I don't know, maybe it seems like a huge phone to you, or maybe it doesn't really seem that big. Once you're holding it, though, oh my goodness, that's when you really get the feeling. For example, my hands are too small for the 6 Plus. I've made a terrible mistake. Didn't stop me, of course, because my priorities are out the window, but at least I know what I'm getting into now before I actually have a chance to touch either of these phones on display in an Apple store or elsewhere in the wild. So thanks, Gordon. Good tip. This episode is brought to you by Shutterstock.com. At Shutterstock.com, you'll find the perfect image or video for your next creative project. Whether it's for your website, a publication, an advertisement, a video, any other type of project. You can choose from over 40 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, even video clips. And Shutterstock sources images from all over the world. Many contributors to Shutterstock are professional photographers and artists, and it shows. In fact, the company reviews each image before adding it to its library, so they're really looking for quality control here. Shutterstock adds 275,000 images every week, so every time you visit, you'll find something new. And the pricing is flexible too. An individual image pack, or perhaps a monthly subscription for the best deal. Standard subscription starts at 25 images per day. You, of course, can download any image in any size and just pay a single price. You can try Shutterstock today by signing up for a free account, completely free. No credit card will be asked for. Just start an account and start using Shutterstock and imagine what your next project could be like. You could even save a few images to a lightbox to review later or share with your team. Once you decide to purchase, use offer code iFive914 and new accounts will receive 20% off image subscription packages. That's Shutterstock.com, and for 20% off image subscription packages on new accounts, use the offer code iFive914. And thanks to Shutterstock for their support. Number 4. Ephemeral messaging is getting weird. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. The latest app by former colleague of mine and good friend of Twit, Kevin Rose, is one of those weird apps. Not saying it's bad weird, just a little bit weird. It's called Tiiny, that's Tiiny, and it lets you share what it calls little photos and little looping videos that disappear after 24 hours. So they're kind of arranged on a grid based on what you're uploading and then who you're following. There's no audio. They're just photos or video loops, and the video loops are really quick. It's kind of hypnotic to watch, I have to say. And sometimes it's fun to try and guess who did that funny face video thing before you press on the screen to reveal a username. Took me a while to realize you could do that. Tiiny says that the posts can't be enlarged, so you don't have to worry about somebody blowing up something that's unflattering. And since they go away once a day, users can be, I don't know, a little bit more encouraged to do something silly or dramatic, since it's more of just a little hint anyway. Here's my issue with that. You tend to get a lot of the same crazy face expressions, or somebody jumping. It starts to feel like everybody's doing the same thing. The app doesn't cost anything though, and it's a really neat idea. You can watch all this temporary stuff together. It almost seems like a bizarre film, and then the next day you watch something else. Finally, number 5. Okay, I've got a question for you. Quick, you have to upload a video somewhere and then share it with people. What service do you use? I would say YouTube, but what about something else? What about Vimeo? You still use Vimeo? There's absolutely nothing wrong with Vimeo. In fact, I've always thought it was a much nicer app. So I thought, as a video upload and storage service, we could revisit the latest version of Vimeo today. What you can do is upload videos right from your camera roll. That's obviously very convenient. From there, you can then share the video with your friends. Videos play in HD, and here's a nice touch. No ads. No ads, no pre-roll ads, no overlays. You gotta love that. In your feed, you'll find staff pics that are curated by the Vimeo team. And I point this out because Vimeo has always sort of had this reputation for being a place where creative people are uploading things. So the staff pic selection is actually really good. And you can save anything into your watch later queue to view without an internet connection. Maybe you're on a flight or you commute by train, that sort of thing. Now, a lot of this stuff is similar to what YouTube offers. I really like Vimeo though, and it's not because I don't like YouTube or Google. I just think it's a really good alternative to what's becoming sort of a one-horse race. And that is another episode of iFive over. Hope you all had a lot of fun. All of the apps and links and other info that we cover is always at twit.tv/iFive. You can email your ideas or questions or feedback to us at iFive@twit.tv. Leave us a voicemail. The number is 614 on iFive, or send us a video if you're feeling brave. I'm Sarah Lane, and we'll see you next time on iFive for the iPhone.